Motors have always been the heartbeat of excitement for car lovers, and for Pontiac, pushing the limits was part of their DNA. After all, they're often credited with creating the muscle car as we know it. But before the legendary GTO ever hit the market, a storm was brewing inside Pontiac's engineering department, one that would give birth to one of the strangest engines ever made, the Pontiac Trophy 4. This wild idea came from a team led by Malcolm McKellar, one of Pontiac's most talented powertrain engineers. Before the Pontiac Tempest existed, McKellar's team had been experimenting with ways to improve fuel economy using existing engines. In one experiment, they disabled one bank of cylinders on a Pontiac Fight engine inside a Catalina. To their surprise, even with half the engine shut down, the big Catalina could still cruise comfortably at highway speeds. Pontiac wasn't planning on launching a four-cylinder luxury car, but this experiment planted a seed, an idea that would soon power their newest model, the Tempest. A new kind of American car. By the late 1950s, America's car culture was changing. Big cars ruled the roads, but traffic was growing, suburbs were spreading, and gas prices were rising. People wanted smaller, more efficient cars, but still stylish ones. General Motors responded with the Y-body platform, a new downsized chassis that could be shared across GM brands like Buick, Skylark, Oldsmobile F85, and Pontiac Tempest. Each brand would give the Y-body its own personality, its own style, its own engine. But Pontiac, led by the bold and inventive John DeLorean, wanted to do something different. A simple rebadged compact wouldn't do. They wanted innovation, and they got it. The Tempest, a rebel among compacts. The 1961 Pontiac Tempest was unlike anything else on the road. Instead of a standard rear axle, it had independent rear suspension based on the Chevrolet Corvaire's design. Even crazier, its transmission was mounted at the back, connected to the front engine by a flexible, rope-like driveshaft. This design gave the Tempest nearly perfect 50-50 weight balance, a flat floor, no transmission tunnel, and enough space to seat 6 passengers comfortably. It was light too, just about 2,600 pounds, making it perfect for an efficient new power plant. The birth of the Trophy 4. Pontiac engineers decided to take their earlier experiment and make it real. Instead of designing a new small engine, they simply cut one bank off their 389 cubic inch V8, creating a slanted inline-4 engine at a 45-degree angle. The new Trophy 4 shared over 100 parts with the 389, including pistons, rods, and even the cylinder head. It was cost-effective. Pontiac could build both engines on the same assembly line. The Trophy 4 displaced 194.5 cubic inches, making it huge for a 4-cylinder, and heavy too, at around 550 pounds. There were 3 versions. Base, 115 horsepower with a 2-barrel carburetor. Mid-range, 140 horsepower with higher compression. High output, 166 horsepower with a 4-barrel carburetor. For its size, that was respectable power, but there was a problem. The downside of cutting a V8 in half. The Trophy 4 was clever, but it was also a compromise. Because it was literally half a V8, it had no opposing cylinders to balance vibrations. The result? The engine shook a lot. Pontiac used heavy rubber mounts and hoped the flexible driveshaft would absorb some of the shaking, but inside the cabin, drivers could still feel the buzz. To make matters worse, it was heavy. Even though it was meant for efficiency, the iron block Trophy 4 weighed more than many small V8s. In fact, Pontiac offered an optional 215 cubic inch aluminum V8 from Buick that made more power and weighed 200 pounds less. But it cost more, so over 95% of Tempest buyers stuck with the Trophy 4, at least until they lived with it and realized its quirks. The end of the Trophy 4. By 1964, Pontiac moved the Tempest to the A-body platform, giving it a more conventional layout and ditching the rear transaxle and rope drive. The Trophy 4 was discontinued after just 3 years, replaced by smoother 6 cylinders and smaller V8s. Yet, the Trophy 4 wasn't a total failure. It was tough, made strong torque, and could handle abuse. Many hot rodders later proved it could make 200 horsepower naturally aspirated, or even 300 plus HP with a supercharger. Its 45 degrees slant even made supercharger setups look cool, but few went that route. For most buyers, the Trophy 4 was simply too rough for daily driving. A quirky legacy. The Pontiac Trophy 4 was short-lived, but unforgettable. It was bold, weird, and ahead of its time. A half V8 that proved Pontiac's willingness to experiment. It paved the way for better engines, like the later overhead cam 6, and remains one of the most unique American engines ever made. It might not have been perfect, but it was pure Pontiac.